Welcome to the next session of the Heidelberg Laureate Forum. My name is Volker Stollorz. I'm a science journalist and the CEO of the Science Media Center in Germany. And I have the pleasure to introduce you to the next session, which is about the scientific vocation revisited. Can scientific discoveries in future be made by artificial intelligence? We want to start this session with a welcome address and a little interview I made with the incoming president of the European Research Council, ERC, Professor Dr. Maria Leptin. And she has some messages about, from a fundus perspective, how major breakthroughs of the future are kind of made more likely to happen.
Welcome, Ms. Leptin. You will be the next president of the European Research Council. And at the HLF, lots of young researchers are coming and talking to very prominent scientists. And as the ERC is a very important research organization and funding organization in Europe, what would be your message why an institution such as the European Research Council is important for young researchers?
Well, I think it's important for all researchers. One of the nice things is that there really isn't that much difference in, in the mindset of young and old researchers. It's wonderful to see that many old researchers remain young. However, of course, what is important about the young ones is they really drive change. I see this very much also here at EMBO, where I'm the director and where we select postdoctoral fellows. It's perfect, and everything we do is bottom up. And what's perfectly clear is that the young know where the future lies. And so we often get applications in fields from young people where our more senior membership doesn't have good representation. So I think in that regard, because ERC is bottom up, and because it is its aim is to fund basic science, in that regard, it's almost that the young people are important for the ERC and not so much the other way around.
Mm-hmm. And if you think about the way you have lots of experience also in research funding and also at the EMBL, and is there any difference in the people you are looking for, basically? I mean, has this science and the science of discovery, is it changing in any way as more interdisciplinary, more transdisciplinary? Or is it basically still the same? You'll look for brilliant individuals who really do some groundbreaking new research.
Yeah, of course, science, the way science is done changes, of course, because technologies and possibilities change. And that's not only in the life science, it's also in the social sciences and even historical sciences, ways of image analysis, huge data that can be handled everywhere. So of course, science changes all the time, but man or woman doesn't change. Our brains have not evolved over the last 200 or even 1,000 or even 10,000 years. So the great thinkers 500 years ago had the same qualities as the great thinkers now. And they will shine their found and they will do what's necessary. That's what I'm saying. It's not decided top down what they do. They themselves decide. And so I think that hasn't changed. Finding the most creative, most original, most critical, that's also important, and most focused minds it's true always. That has not changed. And I don't think it will change.
Mm-hmm. There was, I thought a lot about this discovery science and how it changed. And there is lots of research trying to understand how you can really find these people. And I think one feeling one gets is that some things may change from the experiences from the 20th century to the 21st century. And one is, I found interesting that some people say that it takes longer for a young scientist to reach the point at which he can make a major discovery, because there's so much knowledge to digest that it's more difficult to come to the point where you can make a difference. You see what I mean?
So yes, I do see that. I do see that. I wonder how true it is. Of course, there's a lot of knowledge to digest. And of course, when I have my group meeting with my young people, you know, they're decades younger than me. They think faster than I do. They're more daring than I am, and my knowledge helps. However, they do a lot of good stuff. You know, the knowledge is also a burden. It stops you from doing things. And yes, in biology, you need a lot of knowledge. And of course, the younger people have less broad knowledge. But so what? Sometimes it ends up in people rediscovering stuff that has been discovered already 50 years ago because it got forgotten. But I don't think it matters. And I'm not sure why this age thing is happening. You know, if you look in other fields, young people do very good stuff. You know, in computer science or in entrepreneurship. I mean, they're all young. People in their early 20s or late teens, they're fantastic. They can do it all. I think having to acquire knowledge is extremely useful, and you need to know because your brain subconsciously connects knowledge that you weren't even aware of you had. So you do need the knowledge. But it's not essential for creativity or insight or energy.
Mm-hmm. And do you see, there was another result I found when I looked into these issues of where do discoveries take place and at which organizational places. And from the 20th century, for example, one of the most creative institutions where most of the major breakthroughs in biomedical science took place was the Rockefeller University, which is a pretty small university. And I wonder, how do you see it? I mean, where these major discoveries take place? Do you see a changing pattern there?
Well, I see. So I myself have been trained in institutions that believed in small groups and, you know, little hierarchy. So not what we know from the German or the Swiss or the Austrian hierarchical university structure, where very creative people, good people, were given a lot of freedom and a lot of money. Now, this is life sciences, which is perhaps different from, say, philosophy or mathematics. And there were many very good people together with small groups. So you were constantly confronted with other ideas. And I think that's the most important thing, that you do constantly have this buzz of intellectual stimulation from critical colleagues. Critical is really important. You need to be criticized. And, you know, those labs that, and institutions that are created newly, they take that into account. And so many of the newer institutes that try to recreate this do exactly that. So I think interactions, at least in the life sciences, and probably maybe also in engineering, physical sciences, are very important.
Yeah, and as we are at the LF, lots of people in computer science and artificial intelligence will be present. There are a few guys saying that maybe with artificial intelligence, discovery science in the future will completely look different again, because maybe even machines will be able to discover patterns, issues, new science. What do you think about these kind of thinking or approaches?
Well, I mean, it's a wonderful speculation, and I love AI. I love deep learning. You know, myself, my own lab collaborates with the excellent people here in Heidelberg in terms of image analysis, image interpretation. It's great. It's good fun, and it's very inspiring. Whether in the end it will change the way we make discoveries, I think depends on what you call a discovery, because to make a discovery has an element of something unexpected. And I tell you, I've seen in my lab people who are very good at discovering things because they look and see something that they didn't expect. Others see only what they expect. And so maybe that's a little bit the similarity between the AI, the machine learning discovery, and human discovery. To see the unexpected that doesn't fit. You can't predict a discovery that doesn't fit. So I think AI will help a lot. And by the way, the ERC uses it to match referees to projects and to match panel members to projects. fantastic. I'm so impressed.
So that means matching who's the right referee for your proposal.
Finding ideal referees for particular projects. I haven't looked into how they do it, but I've experienced it as a panel chair, and it's mind-bogglingly impressive, and of course much faster than the panel can do it. The panel can always go and say, no, that's wrong, and here the machine learned something wrong, and we'd rather have this one. Or the panel may know that the referee is unreliable or lies, whatever. There are good referees and bad referees, but the actual matching is fantastic. So I think there's a lot of future for these methodologies to be used. But discovery, by definition, you can't predict.
Good. Do you have a final, maybe a final word for the young researchers participating in the HLF? What would you how looks the future of discovery science for young people? I mean, is it a bright one, or will there be many problems in the future? What is your perspective for young people?
I think discovery is always great, and search is always great. It is just it's a human need to be curious. So I say go for it. If people are interested in careers, then they shouldn't go into discovery science. Discovery science is not a career. It's a passion and an activity. And if somebody pays you to do that, I mean, then the luckiest thing that can happen to you in your life, and you get to follow your passion. So young people, go for it. And by the way, we will need all your support in the future to ensure that the world out there understands how important unbiased discovery science is. So if you want to help, get in touch.
Okay, thank you very much. And I wish you a good presidency at the European Research Council.